Well, I certainly hear. Sorry to hear. Bad cough and sore throat for Shadowhawk, but the show must go on. Hate to hear that. Indeed, I've been not feeling 100% for the past week or so myself. A little bit. Uh, you know, like a little achy. It may just be nothing, but I've been taking a few ibuprofen and trying to rest more and things like that. Bones in the house. Hey, Bone, you are the first besides Shadowhawk to make a comment. Congrats. May have a couple of people taking some cold medicine. Yeah. I feel better, Shadow. Caw. Ryan James, I did send you the link over on Instagram if you want to come in. Um, got quite a bit done today. Actually, I did. You don't need the details, but I got rid of something in the garage, and that was on my list. I uh, did some yard work to begin with. Armor glitch, no lit link for this guy. Okay. I mean, I was probably going to drop it in the what you call it, the chat anyway here in a minute, but just trying to formulate my thoughts here before you sideswipe me, Omer. Yeah, I had a list on toilet paper, by the way. I accomplished some things. Today. I pretty much had my uh, garbage pail can, whatever you want to call it, full of leaves and limbs and things. Had some very high winds come in here yesterday, and I actually got out a little less than an hour and did some yard work and filled up the can. I think it was yesterday. It might have been the day before, picking up my daughter, and we're going to get a Christmas tree. Okay. All right. I just thought since you were off today and tomorrow, I'd send you the link and you could tell us about what you've been working on, which is a Devil Flyer and Armored Flyer piece, and I'll show that here in a minute. Laugh out loud. Sorry, didn't mean to sidetrack you. You haven't. Omer with the swoop. Very nice. Yeah, I've been trying to get some more rest and whatnot. That doesn't mean I'm not piddling around and doing some things. I needed to get all those leaves that have blown up against the garage door sort of right back into a big pile, and uh, uh, got out today and did some grocery shopping and got some provisions. Went and see my mother and got a few things for her while I was out. Saturday good? Yeah, yeah. Okay, you're working tomorrow? Well, good. Okay. That's good. Saturday sounds good, Ryan. We'll have you on. I may even put you in the title on with Ryan James, Mr. Octagon himself, on Saturday. Yeah, so, I pretty much have twigs left in the back. There's more leaves in the front. This big pine tree that's probably 4 or 5 stories tall right here at the corner of this room is, got to be well over 100 years old, I would think. Uh, uh, it hasn't made a mess till about the last 2 or 3 years, and now it's just pine needles and limbs and pine cones and stuff. Of course, the squirrels knock a lot of that stuff off. They eat the pine cones and just drop the core, everywhere. Oh, just remember it's Saturday. It's not good going to Knott's Berry Farm. Okay. My first wife actually was a dancer at Knott's Berry Farm back in maybe the 70s, early 80s, somewhere in, not sure, probably the 70s. But she was a dancer at Knott's Berry Farm. I've not been to Knott's Berry Farm. I was been to California twice. Once when I was conceived, doink, and in 1969. So it's been a while. But I remember a lot about that trip, and of course, there's some pictures that we took too that helped jog my memory. Ryan gets Gatekeeping Rex left outline. Devil Flyer versus Armor done probably tonight. Okay. He's been sending me progress on the piece that's going to be part of a 2-page spread in Devil Flyer and be a kind of collage type method. If where there's a scene here, a scene there, and there's kind of narrative tying it all together. Different scenes. Hopefully, I'm not driving Ryan too mad with my manic, vision of things. The infamous Knott's Berry on Instagram for proof. Yeah, I noticed that, or at least the last one where you said update. I actually defragged and did some updates on my computer. Oh, I think it was about 3:10, and it took a little while. It took about 20 minutes, not just to defrag, but to check, different things and everything. I thought it was about time to do it. Things keep popping up here. It's like that usually don't pop up. It's been a while since I've had some of those advertising pop-ups. So this was sent, I believe, a couple days ago by Ryan. Now make it nice and big. Knott's Berry Farm bought Magic Mountain, so I get free tickets. Cool. I will post Knott's Berry Farm pictures on Instagram for proof. Sorry, brother. You don't owe me any proof. Apex Comics in the house. Good to see you, Apex. Yeah. I believe you're seeing that right there. It looks a little dark here. I mean, just it may be just Instagram. But yeah, the moon, or I assume that's the moon, and the stars came out better than what I thought. When you said planets, I'm like, okay, we can put that in there. I didn't, it takes place on Earth, but this looks cool. Um, with just like one moon or one planet there, whatever, and the rest are stars. I was afraid we were going to get a whole bunch of planets and stuff behind there, but looking very nice though. Looking very nice, and this will be going into the book. Glad to add Ryan James to the art team on Devil Flyer, and we want to see pictures, or it didn't happen. Okay, pictures sound fun. Yeah, he's a little bit more cynical than I am, Ryan. He wants proof. Actually, I've been kind of ogling your other work here of Bog, uh, looking at the little frog here on the lily pads, and just looking at some of the details and work that you put into this, 10-year Bog piece. Very impressive, my friend. Very impressive. Uh, you know, Often I've got such things going on. I don't stop to smell the roses and look at the artwork that I've had commissioned and gotten in by people. But very nice, very nice. And I think the gray toning with the Copic markers uh, added a lot to it. I think it fleshed it out a lot. Yeah, it I just had it here, and I can't remember if I showed it off on topic list. I did at one time when I first got it in. I've shown all your stuff there. Um, I'm done with that. Open up. It's going to do something different here today, and that was look at a sort of a combination of uh, war comics and weirdness. Didn't buy very much war comics when I was younger. Uh, but one thing that kind of got me from the collecting Weird War tales was the Creature Commandos. Of course, Pat Broderick, who's now making the rounds for Bronze Star 2, is he's a co-creator of the Creature Commandos, and they've actually had an animated thing uh, fairly recently. You know, uh, here's 118, nice burst through cover. I don't know, breakthrough cover. Uh, One of my favorite things. This is Gil Kane. Skull cover, that kind of comes from the 50s where they say if there's a skull on the cover, or skulls. Bondage, bondage cover. This is after Medusa joined the team, and also GI Robot, because it first started out with just the werewolf and the vampire and Frankenstein's monster, I believe. And I can't say that I bought them all, but I do have them all now in trade paperback form. What do I do? Right out of that. Here's one that I bought 114 in 1982. Adolf Hitler cover. As I remember, like Ross Andru did a lot of the interiors. Ross Andru was not one of my favorites, but it seemed like he did, it was interesting enough for me to pick up, uh, you know, some of the stuff, even though it was Ross Andru and it was like kind of not one of my favorite artists. But I mean, Ross Andru and I go way back to Amazing Spider-Man. He was the Amazing Spider-Man artist after Gil Kane. And I had just missed Gil Kane working on Amazing Spider-Man. So it was Ross Andru. And then it was like Ross Andru did a lot of DC stuff I bought, like Superman, um, things like that. It just seemed like he popped up in a lot for me. Uh, can't say I caught all these. Like I say, I might have thumbed through them. All right, let's see. Here's 119. Don't remember this one. That's a Ross Andru and Dan DiCarlo cover. Of course, Weird War Tales was more than just here's 117. Then Creature Commandos. This was fairly late in the series, but it was a lot of fun. Uh, I have not sat down and read all those stories. Of course, I read some of them originally. Um, Let me see. Here's number 3. I might even have that one. That one's Joe Kubert because it's kind of like anything swamp creature kind of grabs me. This was really compelling. That's really neat. This is a Luis Dominguez cover. He did a lot of their war stuff in the 70s. I think this is probably Luis Dominguez as well. This 1976. Anytime you see that, the line of DC superstars bullet right there in the middle of the book, that's 1976. That only happened in 76, as far as I know. And I do own this one here, although it's not in top-notch shape. It's okay. Around the time Superman movie came out, Joe Kubert, number 55. Just checking the chat. I kind of like the Abominable Killer, with all the. This is a neat one. I think this is a Walt Simonson, I believe, unless it is a. Looks like Walt Simonson face down there between his legs. Man, this one artist is always on the tip of my tongue, and I never can remember his name. Quite cool imagery, though. Always a grabber with the covers. Another Joe Kubert war cover here from 76. The Mystery and the Madness of Weird War Tales of 25 Centers. It's amazing I didn't gravitate to this stuff more. I'm sure Elsie did, but this is a Luis Dominguez for sure. The vampire bats or gargoyles there. Luis Dominguez, I was not familiar with him till I looked at some the Jack Adler production art of his. I've actually got a piece, maybe a couple weird war tales. I know I've got one signed by him, and we'll probably see that with the Skeletal Paratroopers. I was unfamiliar with him by name till I saw some of the Adler stuff. All this, and some of these weird war tales in pretty decent shape are just to find a copy, even on eBay. You would think eBay they would have a bunch of them on there. And au contraire, some of them are harder to find, especially later issues. This is number 34. I have a copy of that, but again, finding it in pretty good shape is going to be difficult. Mine's not in the top-notch shape, but it's not a reader copy by any means. Have you seen maybe, I just don't know his name by name. Ryan. Here was this might have been my I don't think it was my first creature. This might have been my second Creature Commando when Medusa comes in. Such a compelling cover. Just had to get it, I believe that's Ross Andru again. Wonderful cover. Number 68. This is from 1978. Packing a PT boat there, I guess. I don't know. I was into the superhero thing. Now, this one here, 1989, that came out, number 89, that came out in 1980. Jim Starlin cover. Guerrilla Nazis. Come on. I had to wait maybe about a month to find a copy on eBay, believe it or not. I found a print. I had an acetate out of Brazil of this that I wanted to sell, and I always like to couple it with a picture of the actual comic book. And it took me a while to find a copy of this listed on eBay. There wasn't when I first looked. And a couple of weeks later, I finally found a copy that was pretty decent that I bought. I bought the print in the meantime and pictured the print. You'd be surprised. Some of these weird war tales are, and some of the stuff like that are hard to find. 105 here, always cool. This looks like it's probably um, Jim Aparo cover. Um, we will be looking at Jim Aparo tomorrow on Feature Friday. Just cool stuff. I have a copy of this. This is number 8 from 1972, Neil Adams cover with the giant Colossus coming up behind, or Sphinx, whatever, coming up behind the Nazi soldiers. I have a copy of this one from 72. It's pretty neat, all the frozen Vikings there. Just some very compelling covers. This looks like it might be Nick Cardy cover. Hey, according to this, you died 3 weeks ago. Number 11 there. I think I'm, that finding that one with the gorillas. This is another one that was around that time, number 85. A little bit harder to find sometimes. I'm sure these things kind of come and go. If something's really rare, I've waited like up to 2 years or longer for it to come up on eBay. 102 here from 1981. And looks like maybe Adolf Hitler up there in the balcony too. Adolf Hitler cover. Battles Hitler. Yeah, that's him. I forget what the regular Joe there in the orange shirt, what he was. He was like, I don't know if he was super powered or just a GI that was over the group, or maybe led the group. Timothy Dawson in the house. Carrie's in the house. Hello. It's good to see you. I believe this is the first appearance. Yeah, Creature Commandos right here, number 93. I think I bought the very first one to come out. And like I said, I didn't buy all the other subsequent ones after this, but I did pick up sporadically, an issue here or there. Joe Kubert cover here. I believe that's what's on the trade paperback. 3 thrillers in 1 issue. It's like futuristic Nazi there. I don't know. Pretty cool. Like all this skull and claw behind him. I mean, they didn't pull any punches, especially in like All-Star Squadron. I mean, all what was it? All the other war books, anyway. I mean, especially Joe Kubert. This Joe Kubert cover. This would have been done practically on another layer. The skull and the claws. That would have been, since it wasn't going to be printed in black. That would have been actually physically on another layer and dropped in at printing. Like this is a death camp, like Auschwitz. A gritty goodness, I'm telling you. This is wild for 1977, number 56. Look at that, like headless motorcycle, headless courier. There we go. Let's throw his flaming skull at the British courier that's shooting at him from behind. It's wild. Another Joe Kubert cover here. Metamorphosis. Another Joe Kubert. He did quite a few of these covers. This is probably where he really let his hair down, you know. Of course, he was kind of the war guy, you know, him and um, you know, when G.I. Joe is too exciting, you get regular Joe. Okay. Uh you can get too wild with the authority. Yeah, the authority code. Always say what's the authority code, that's for sure. Here's one with GI Robot. Why did he do that? Come on, skip a beat. That looks like a Ross Andru cover. GI Robot made his first appearance, and he made his second appearance and subsequent appearances in All Star War, I think. All Star Spangled War in the 60s. And the reason I know that is I had some production artwork. This is number 5 from 1972. And if you see on here, this Joe Kubert cover, but you got N. Adams, like a nod to Neil Adams there on the soldier who's getting ready to be hung on the ghost like on his name tag. I've got a copy of that. I think it's got a little road spine, but at least I have a copy of it. Number 17 here from 73. Love that they cover, you know, World War One, World War Two, uh, different wars. This looks like a foreign comic here. Not seen this before. Oh, okay. So this is probably British. Looking at the price tag. Gremlins. Any Gremlins fans out there? Don't get your gremlin wet. There we go. That's a better picture there. 101. My buddy the robot. Another Jim Aparo cover. And what's neat on the name tag here, you've got J. Aparo. So I don't know if Jim Aparo looked like the dead soldier there with his eyes wide open in the foreground. But you can see over time, you know, there's an ad or something on the inside front cover, and the magenta is starting to bleed through the white areas around the logo, around the skeletal horse, around the dialogue there. It's just starting to bleed through around the authority code there. That magenta is very strong ink in it. It just bleeds through. Whereas, you know, other inks do not like that over time, but magentas are really bad about it. Here's another overlay, number 2. I think I've got that one. Western Union, Joe Kubert cover. Telling them that soldiers been killed. Number 49 here from 76. That's wild. Another Adolf Hitler cover here, Joe Kubert. Lot of fun. Fun reads. Here's another Joe Kubert here in space. Sort of Indian warriors on flying horses in space. I think I might have a copy of this one. Here's a blast from the past from Dr. Mask Retro Elixir, December 4th, 2023. post, 1952 Blue Boat, Weird Tales 116 from Star Productions, art by L.B. Coe, one of the greats of the Golden Age. Blue Boat. Blue Boat started out as a superhero title and morphed into many different things. This one sort of weird war tales almost. Number 14 from 1973. I've got the approval cover to this signed by the artist Luis Dominguez. I love this. This is one of my favorite of the weird war tales. Very simple, sort of the plane is phantom. The paratroopers are. I mean, it's just eye catching. Had I actually been collecting during this time, I may have just bought this simply because of the cover. Uh, but I didn't come on till 25 cents, unfortunately. I believe I've got one of this dealing with voodoo. Will the Nazis stop it? Nothing. That's another Luis Dominguez cover with skull cover. I never did quite get why they did a banner on the covers. I mean, that was an early 70s type thing where they put a banner and they took up almost a third of the cover um, space just to put the logo and all that other stuff on there. Just checking the chat real quick. "1953 here, startling terror tales, footprint of death." That's wild. That's wild coloring on that. Very limited coloring, but wild, primarily red, yellow. 1953. That's an LB Co cover as well. Maybe if I put tails in here, narrowed the search a little bit. Oh, Howard Chaykin. Okay, so this is Howard Chaykin. That looks very. I could see Howard Chaykin in that, but it looks very. Uh, looks very Walt Simonson to me as well. Apparently, that's Howard Chaykin. Here's some interiors. 105. The Creature Commandos. Coloring could be better, right? At least the Dracula vampire character, he looks alive. He looks pinky fleshy, Doesn't look morbidly white. This is number 100. I want to say Steve Ditko on that. Oh, is it Bob Hall, Baja, and Jerry Ordway? Wow. How about that? Has a very simplistic sort of Steve Ditko look to it. Here's 117. Fred Carrillo. I'm not familiar with him. Apparently, he did his inks. Robert Kanigher. He wrote so many of the DC War titles. I mean, if it doesn't have Robert Kanigher on there, I'd be amazed because he just wrote all the war stuff for decades. So they, I mean, in one of the, like Pat Broderick did an issue. There were several different artists, and maybe that's why I didn't gravitate to it more since they changed a lot of things. Here's one of the pencilers, okay, to Weird Wars. Alex Nino there. He worked on that as well. Just a collage here. So many great covers. That one in the bottom right-hand corner, the red and blue one with the aviators, that's the very last issue. That one's kind of hard to find. Somebody could probably do very well. Was that the Spear of Destiny? Spear of Death. Okay. Spear of Destiny is supposed to be the spear that, pierced Christ's side. Joe Kubert cover there. $108 here. Some interiors. Look at that. Plus the return of the GI robot. He'd been gone for a while. I don't, maybe since the 60s. Adolf Hitler cover here. I have an interior artist here. Bob Hall again and Joe Orlando. This must have been very, early inks for Joe Orlando. I mean, not that early. He was pretty well established, by the mid 80s. Gil Kane cover here. Anytime you see just his GK on there with the little dot underneath it, that means he inked it as well. He did all the art, pencils and inks, with his felt tip pen, because that's how he and Alex Toth inked. My friend Dave Snow inks like that as well. Just Mrs. G, howdy, nice thumbnail. Thank you. Glad you like that. Swamp Thing there, getting into kind of the Weird War type for a while. Bissett cover there on the left. I don't know about the one on the right. Very nice though. This was wild. I think this is a Ross Andru cover where he's kind of whipping his head around. Use it as a weapon. Jake 2 makes his dynamic debut against a samurai robot. So Jake 2, his first appearance here. I think I have a copy of this one. We saw that right there. Looking in the mirror and all that behind him. Of course, they brought back stuff. Weird War Tales. They brought it back in Vertigo. It really wasn't that successful. I think they kind of went a little bit heavy metal with it too. There's a wonderful Joe Kubert cover. Look at that with the mammoth bearing down on him. So cool. And love this one with like a dirigible or like the Hindenburg crashing on top of them. Trying to get out of the way. Neat idea. There's one of those Vertigo right there. Milligan, though, he's a pretty good rider. I just can't believe that stuff had too broad appeal, you know. A couple Luis Dominguez covers here, if I'm not mistaken. Look at the dog skeleton. That was a big theme. Skeleton death. Little Pat Broderick here. In their first appearance. That's wild. Joe Kubert cover here. 100th issue. I'm told Joe Kubert loved drawing dinosaurs. That front dinosaur looks, and even maybe that one behind there, some of those just kind of look made up. That's cool. Run away, run away. Another Luis Dominguez cover. Luis Dominguez was the first artist to draw Swamp Thing in number 11 after to do a Swamp Thing cover after Bernie Wrightson. And I actually have that number 11 production piece in the Adler collection, the approval cover. Another Luis Dominguez here. It's wild, you know, Luis Dominguez, big artist of the 70s, now forgotten pretty much by a lot of people. G.I. Robot trying to revive him. Yeah, Star Spangled War stories always with the robot covers. I mean, the dinosaur covers, very similar to what Weird War would do later. War That Time Forgot with the first Suicide Squad. There's the showcase, the Joe Kubert. Uh, cool stuff. From 92 to 137 had the dinosaurs in there. You're always trying to collect them. Just about got a complete collection, but not quite. Love underwater stuff. Another Joe Kubert cover. This would have been the devil figure would have been on another layer. Neil Adams put that stuff to good use. Sometimes I believe they even had like Civil War stories. That's wild. Let's checking the chat. Make sure nobody's slipping in on me. I rarely hear the boop. Number one, new DC. That looks like a Mike Mignola cover. I had to take my guess. One shot. September 2010. So was there only one of them? I do need some interior stuff. Sold on April 2nd, 2024 for $10,200 and 9.8, 1971, number one. Wow. There's some value there. I mean, it's a 25 cent or so, and even number two was oversized. It's a black cover, going to show damage very easily. Not probably hardly any 9.8s on the census. It's probably worth that. It's probably an undervalue, really. And, it has the distinction of being a number one issue. That helps. Cover art by Joe Kubert there. There's another one there. That's brutal. Run away, run away. See, even the demons didn't even like the Nazis. The Nazis are the ones being attacked and destroyed here. I think I picked this one up back in the day. It's number 97. Second appearance of the Creature Commandos. Nice House of Mystery by Joe Kubert. Alex Nino art from number 13. He did a lot of Charlton type stuff that was similar. Flashpoint, yeah. I have this one. One reason is I have a acetate to this out of the Brazilian collection. Oversized. This Joe Kubert cover. Don Newton on the artwork here. Primarily know Don Newton from his Batman work. John Sorlardo. He did a lot of the inky. 109 from 82, Rich Buckler and Frank Giacoa here. Frankenstein doing the Slim Pickens riding the bomb down. Dr. Strangelove number there. This is a nice one. I really like this Joe Kubert one. I think that's issue 6. Cyborg or robot. Who knows? Yeah, Marvel had Weird Wonder Tales. That's has the distinction of being the only title that my brother bought me a comic out of. It's not this issue, although I think I have this one. Always love the skull and rockets and planets up there and sort of the bullet. And just, I mean, what a nice title there. Nice logo. Just grabs you. Yeah, here's a look at the animated Creature Commandos. I can't recommend it too highly because I've watched some of it, like and I wasn't that impressed. Although I haven't watched it all. I'm glad they're doing something with Creature Commandos. Here's another one that's nice. Wish I could blow those signatures up. Seems like I might have bought this one too. Not sure. Only been about 45 years. Some interiors to 109. Looks like Dan Spiegel art. All right. Yep. Dan Spiegel. Yep. Very distinctive. You can see around where the female's eye there's some kind of ad or something on the back, bleeding through where they scanned it. So Creature Commandos had quite the turnover of artists. Dan Spiegel did like Crossfire from DNA Agents, Rainbow and Crossfire character. Many different other things, but that's what I remember his stuff in. So we got here interiors to number 100, third appearance of Creature Commandos. (102), fourth appearance. Adolf Hitler in this. Looks like death camp too, like Auschwitz or something there. Barbed wire. Something's going on with the children. That might be a pretty interesting read from the look of it. 105 here. Check the chat real quick. Dan Spiegel worked a lot for Dale and Goki Comics. Yeah. Yeah, I remember his Eclipse stuff from later, though, as well. I'm glad that Creature Commandos were on our side. Look how much dialogue's on here. They expect me to read, even on this page. A lot of dialogue. Not so much on this one because it's the big rescue the child out of the burning building. There you go. You get a Sergio Aragonés in the background from 105 if you're a Sergio fan. Their final appearance in Destination Unknown. Just put them in a rocket and shoot them out. Rockets malfunctioning, out of control, exceeding escape velocity. How does that happen, by the way? Wonder if we'll ever hear from them again. Yeah. The end or the beginning? Creature Commandos in space. Here from issue 110. Looks like Dan Spiegel again. Skip one. There we go. I don't know if I got that final issue or not where they were shot up into space. Now I don't think I want to read my trade paperback. That's going to be sad. Well, they eventually make a reappearance decades later. Vampire's got the Widow's Peak, the Namor triangular Widow's Peak there. Head going on. Blow those Nazis up. Wolfman looks sad in that last panel there. Oh, Frankie getting him some kiss there. Medusa, yeah. I don't know if she could turn. Apparently, she couldn't turn you to stone. Eighth appearance. Look at that collection, man. Number 97. Come on now. I would go watch a Creature Commando movie if it was well done. Mixing monsters in World War II? Hell yeah. I often wonder how does the colorist say, okay, we're going to put them in magenta in the foreground on this panel here? You know, how do they decide that color change? Because that's a big color shift there. Just for dramatic effect, I guess. Ghost, another title. DC. Early 70s. A lot of Nick Cardy covers. I know Elsie has a bunch of those. I have a few of those myself. I didn't know that, but back in August 14th, 45 years ago today, 1980, Teen Titans #1 and first appearance of Creature Commandos. I didn't know those. Those are two books I picked up same time. No, they came out the same month. There you go. 7th great issue, Joe Kubert. It's like a silver print, really. Mm. Oh, very cool. King Kong. Haven't heard of this title. Dynamite does some nice stuff. What's that? Interesting. Alex Nino's art just off the chain. I mean, it's like nothing else you've seen. I was shocked to hear that G.I. Robot went back that far to the 60s, but he does. Some Pat Broderick's work. Checking the chat there. That's got to be satisfying that he created, co-created Creature Commandos. Classic cover and Max original. They had the first episode of that on YouTube, I believe. They may have other episodes. I just haven't watched it. Anti-aircraft tracers lighting up the sky. I mean, we take a lot for granted. When you look at it, something like this, wow. We take a lot for granted, our freedom. What they had to do in World War II and endure like nothing had ever been seen before. Great logo. I think that's Alec Nino, isn't it? Jump into hell. Oh boy. Yeah, I'll get right on that. Giant German. Actually, this was explored in the 60s. This looks like I don't want to say partial gray tone cover, but it looks like some gray toning on that giant's flesh. Very cool. Orlando regularly lamented how few letters were Weird War Tales produced for such a well selling book. Yeah, didn't give many letters written in. Apparently, the kids loved it though. Everybody likes that irony and that twist, like uh, Twilight Zone, other shows like that. Look at all those great covers, early covers. Run away, run away. Luis Dominguez. Here's another one right there. That's one of the latter ones to come out. I'll quit that. Joe Kubert, number 91. Not too close actually to the end. Not as close as what I thought it was. Other Joe Kubert. No wonder Elsie really likes Weird War Tales. He's a big Joe Kubert fan, one of his favorite artists. Secrets of Haunted House, that was another one. This looks like it might have was it Doctor 13? I can't remember. This looks like this is probably a Rich Buckler cover. That's why. Oh, look at those panels. 115. Gee, a robot. Take on a Nazi sub all by himself. That was last year. Yeah. It might be Amanda Waller. I can't remember if she was in that series or not. Another great skull cover here. I can't be stopped. Nothing can kill me now. Luis Dominguez. George Evans on this one. 122, 1983. People in the timepiece. Another Joe Kubert there. We saw that one. Number 69 from 1978. Little sci-fi bit. Yeah, I really like this cover. Reminds me of my character Slaver. Go with the horn there. Joe Kubert. Wonderful splash page here. No. Yeah. Update. Like the Bride of Frankenstein. Multiple arms. Frank just throws the tank or the Jeep and the Nazis, everything up in the air. A lot of people are featuring the first Creature Commandos. I guess that's because the show of last year. There's one I haven't seen, Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead. DC Horror. That may be one of their more expensive line black labels. I'm not sure. I don't see that on the cover. Surprised I haven't seen more variety of some of these. Um, people posting. I'm surprised. Top 4 selling secondary market comics. Weird War Tales. Formerly number 3, coming in number 4, I guess. Yeah. NFT feed. Huh. Interesting. DC bot. Huh. I may have to follow them. Pretty interesting. Nice detective there. Lists like this kind of shows you, you know, what's been selling. It's kind of hot and what's kind of cold. See what Stato had to say. I love a good anthology, says Statistical Zero. I think a good one needs a thread to tie it together, a theme. If I had to pick a favorite, it might have been Weird War Tales, but there are so many good ones. Mm-hmm. There's one we haven't seen. Vampire cover. I suppose those are vampires. And that's it. I'm really surprised that there wasn't more variety, really. It kind of featured on the Creature Commandos, um, and didn't show and showed some of the early ones, but man, there's so many in that run. I mean, there's like the last issue, I'm not even sure. Let's see. Let me look it up. I think it's 160 something. It ran 160. Let me look that up. I've looked that up before and I know what it looks like. And we did see the last issue that had the aviators in red and blue. That's the last issue. Last issues, a lot of people I didn't know for a long time. Uh, are less number, you know, less printed, and subsequently, worth something. Here we go. Show you what I'm looking at. Here's number 4 right here that we didn't see. Another Joe Kubert cover. I've grown old. Yeah. And all that up in the lettering too, the little bodies and stuff. If I can get this thing to work. Come on now. There we go. Little soldiers within the lettering. Number 124. Okay, from 1983. So that ended. I mean, here you go. Here's a 9.8 newsstand. 1993, it really doesn't matter. Most of them were newsstand. You would probably be better off getting a direct because there were not as many of those printed. But they want $264.99 for it. Here's one last issue, and they're all $79.99. Here's one for $18.78. That's not too bad. Of course, you got to pay $8.35 in shipping, and you need to look at the condition of it, of course. But yeah, we probably would have been better just looking at some of these on even though I've done a specific search, you probably would have got a better variety just looking on eBay. Seemed like X didn't have very many repostings of a lot of these. But very always engaging covers by a variety of artists, Good stuff. There, we're back. There we go. Yeah. Probably we'll have a draw stream tonight, late night draw. I've been doing some stuff around here trying to achieve some things and just, remain healthy. I've been up since early, but that's nothing new for me. Uh, I know Elsie likes the late night draw streams. I don't always want to do them, but sometimes I'll do them for him. Uh, like I said, just been kind of achy the last for like the last week or so. A little bit like something's trying to come on me, but today's been kind of different. I mean, it started out that way, but I kind of worked through it. Rested last night and up until, about 7, and then let Abby out and did a little yard work, like I said, and, clean the patio of all those little twigs. I thought, well, my trash can's full, but at least I can rake these twigs up. I've got a little, shovel type thing on a handle, right? And sweep it into that and dump it and sweep it into that and dump it. I can get rid of all those twigs or the majority of them anyway. And Um, just did odd different things that I'm like, and I may remembered where my scanner is, unless I moved it out to the shed. I know at one time it was around I'll have to look for it. It's an old scanning bed that I bought years and years ago at Walmart, and I don't think I've ever really used it. But the price was right, and I thought, oh, that's cool. You know, uh, my scanner here on the printer is kaputs. So, and I've got a lot of stuff to scan. So, again, if I can find that and get that going, that'll be a quantum leap forward in getting a lot of stuff scanned for the book, and prepping that to do. Yeah, so maybe rest a little bit, come back with a draw stream about 10 o'clock. I'll see if Elsie's up for it. Omer or whoever wants to join in can. I don't know how long it'll go. I've got some sketch cards going here. Got 2 that I've got starts on. I've still got a list of things to do. I haven't forgot about putting a update on the campaign. I've got to look into seeing that. I wanted to look into seeing Godfoe tried to contact me about coming on sometime in January, either this month or January. And that's on X, though. So I have to see if they're either on Instagram or on Facebook. If anybody knows, let me know. Godfoe Universe, we've had them on for the last couple of years. They always have at least one launch a year. I think we've already had them on once this year. A couple other things, I've got on my to-do list, trying to get it done. Gotten a few things marked through here, so it's not been a total bust for me. The last few I've done, here's a new concept, a new character that's going to be pretty darn cool. You don't want to die that way. I'm just saying. And one I did before that, very colorful. So kind of trippy. I'm not doing these just to be trippy. It's actually got a direction here. This is The Fallen. This was a little bit murky looking. It didn't pop like I wanted it to, but that's all right. It's only one, right? Finish this one here. At least I think I did. I could probably do a little bit more to that. And Entropy, been thinking about this character of late. He's a new character. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed all those weird war tales. There's also, other titles, especially when it comes to Charlton. Scary Tales is one of them. What was that other title Charlton put out? I mean, there's Dr. Graves and all types. But I had an example of one of them here. Of course, Marvel did Vampire Tales and all kinds of stuff. Scary Tales from Charlton. Ghostly Haunts. It was Ghostly Haunts, yeah. Ditko did some of his best work on that Charlton stuff, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm going to get to it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again, hopefully, on the draw stream. I've been working on this armor character that I created back in 2020, back in September 2020. His sort of catchphrase is "Armor up, armor up." Everybody's got to kind of have an Iron Man type character. And Momentum will have one as well. Keep collecting. We'll see you again tomorrow. Shadow, feel better. Bow for now.